Okay, so I posted on a forum some video of the noise coming from my cam chest here, and a couple people responded saying that that didn't sound normal, and it didn't sound normal to me either. So I'm going to take this thing all apart and see what's going on in there. As you can see, I've already started that process, got the carburetor off, and got the push rods out. They're over here. I've marked them so I know which one's which here, just front to back. And I'm having a little trouble getting the lifter blocks out. They don't seem to want to go. I've even given them a couple of good whacks with a hammer, and they still don't want to move. So I'm going to get the cover off. And hopefully at that point I'll be able to either push these things out or maybe just, I don't know if you can get the lifters out through the lifter blocks. You can get the tops of them out. I don't know if you can get the lifters out through the lifter blocks, or if I'm even going to need to get the lifter blocks out. I do want to get the lifter blocks out, so maybe I can tap them out with a wooden dowel and a hammer from the inside. I don't know how easy that's going to be. I've never had one of these apart. So first thing to do is to get those screws out. I've already cracked them free once, so they shouldn't be too hard to get out. Actually, I should be probably getting this stuff out first. Let me get whack the chrome. Not great. Gets the cam for the points out of there. Add this to my pile of parts. Oh, good. They didn't take much to get them out. Okay. That's fine. We'll just leave that exactly as is. And frankly, I don't think I need to change these points. They look really clean. They probably were brand new before. So I'm going to leave those in for now. It was running pretty good, so we're not going to worry about those. Get the rest of these screws loosened up. This is that tool that I got for this purpose. So now I should be able to get, my spark advance. Looks to be in pretty good shape. All right, so now this seems to be the end of the cam. So I'm going to go ahead and install that tool. Oh yeah. Nice. Okay, there goes the oil. All right, so I think that is good. And I'll get this tool back off of here. I like to get the exact right tool for the job so that I'm not fighting with stuff. I don't like to fight with shit. All right. Back in the little bag. And now we're going to get to see, a little bit more oil. Let's let that drain a little bit before I make a huge mess. And let's see what we look like in here. Okay. Now, Wonder if I'm going to be able to get those lifter blocks out from the bottom here. Doesn't look very promising, I gotta say. Well, I don't see any obvious issues right off the bat. The teeth and the... Oh, I can't imagine that much play is a good thing. If I pull the camshaft out, I'm going to lose the lifters, but there's the cam. I don't see any like nasty scoring or anything on it. I don't feel any weirdness on either end. It seems to fit pretty snug in the bushing, so that's not a bad sign, I guess. So, come on now. Ah, there we go. Yeah, there we go. All right, lifters staying in the block. There we go. There's that one. All right, just a little extra persuasion. Let me see if I can... That's just going to rest there. Let's see if a little extra persuasion will work on this one too. You know what? I'm going to pull... Gotta pull this oil pressure gauge out. Oh, I guess I gotta get the gauge off first. Yep, it's 7/16. All right, this nifty brass pressure gauge. Okay, is that gonna? Yeah, it's gonna clear. Okay. And then there's a spring, and there's the tappet screen in there. So we're gonna get to see if it has collected any more debris here in a minute. All right, so the screen and spring, and there's a little bit of junk in there. A little bit. You probably can't see in there. It's barely visible, but you can kind of see through the screen itself. It's not too bad in there. I got one lifter block in there still. And she is a stubborn one. If I just give it another couple of whacks, maybe that's a sign that I'm getting it to move. There's a little bit of a gap. I never expected to have to whale on this hard. Oh, then there it is. And lifter. Come on. You can do it. All right, and keeping the lifter in place, I'm going to go ahead and, oops, put the other one back. So, that seems pretty tight. I don't know, it's a little wiggle side to side, but up and down, it doesn't seem to have any play. Not sure how you're supposed to check these. They don't feel bad. I don't feel any up and down play there. That one. I don't feel any up and down play in that one. Okay. I think the lifters are all right. I am so entirely covered in oil. I need a shower. Okay. I can feel the needles in there. Everything feels like it's intact. So the next step is the scary bit where I pull out that interior bearing, that inner cam bearing. So I have this tool. Yeah, and this part goes inside. Now I'm probably going to put some kind of a clamp or something around this bit to slide it through without having to hit it with a hammer. She is quite a bit larger than the opening in the bearing, so I'm going to go ahead and put a clamp on that to squeeze her down so that I can get it into the bearing without potentially breaking the little bits in the cage here. Alright, so I'm hoping that I can use this clamp and then get in there with a screwdriver to loosen it afterwards to squeeze this enough. And I don't know if this is going to work out or not. We're going to try it. Hopefully this will squeeze this down. Does seem to be working. Yeah, a little bit more. It does seem to be working. All right, so now, make sure I line that clamp up so I can get at it. Nice and easy. And then get that clamp back off of there. This might be a little bit long of a screwdriver for the task. Come on now. There we go. Okay. Let's tap that the rest of the way through. Ooh, that was a little harder than maybe I wanted to. We got this recessed area where the bearing will slide into. So we put this in first. All right, there's the tool sticking out of the bearings. All right, here we go. Hopefully this works the way I expect it to, because I don't want to have problems here. If I do, it's probably because I've done something wrong. It seems to be working. No funky noises or anything yet. Coming out smoothly. Don't imagine these things are too hard to pull out. She's turning pretty easy, so I think we're just about out with it. Yeah, I'm going to say that's out. There she is inside. Let's disassemble the tool here. All right. And it appears that the bearing came out completely intact. And that's really good news, because I did not want to have pieces ending up inside the engine. So Now, this is the part that goes into the bushing on the cover. This is the part that should slide into this bearing. It's got a little bit of play. Doesn't feel very good, really. It almost sounds gritty. I wonder if the camera's microphone will pick that up. It sounds gritty. I don't like the sound of that. Is that just my finger? No. Now you can hear it, I bet. Huh. Well, let me look in this. It's a little sludge down at the bottom there. Doesn't seem like it's too gritty. That's nice clean oil, but I can see a little bit of gunk. Breather, I think, should come out. Let me just clean this a little bit. Metal. I don't know if they use plastic ones in shovelheads or not, but it's metal. I don't see any major scoring or anything anywhere. Take a look at these teeth on there. A little bit of wear on the teeth, but they don't look horrendous. Okay. All right. All right, so we're balls deep into this cam chest. Okay, so in theory, all I need to do now is press back in a new bearing, and then I'm not sure if I'm going to need to do these bushings. I don't see any nasty scoring in there. Let me see this cam again. Pretty tight. So what I'm going to have to do is figure out what these is, look in the manual, find out what the clearances are supposed to be here, and measure the end of the camshaft and measure the inside of this bushing. Unfortunately, I don't have a really great tool for doing the interior measurement. I got a pretty decent tool for measuring the shaft, but I only have just a regular hand caliper for this. What I'll do again is I'll measure the shaft on the pinion, and then I'll measure the inside. Again, I don't have the best tool to measure this inside measurement here, but I'll do the best I can. And with any luck, it will be within spec, and I'll only need to be changing out that inner bearing. And I'm hoping that was the noise, because that does not sound good, but it doesn't give me warm and fuzzies hearing that grit in there. Feels like grit. I'm sure you can hear that. If you can't hear it with my finger. So, ick. The other thing I can do possibly is measure this side of the camshaft as well. And then, of course, once I get it back together and put the cover back on, or actually I think we can probably do that end play measurement. I'm not sure if I need to get the cover back on to do the end play measurement, or if I can use a straight edge or something to do the end play measurement. I'm going to go back to the manual and check that stuff out. So we're going to take a break and probably going to come back to this tomorrow or the next day to reassemble after I've watched some more YouTube videos and read through the manual in great detail. Here for the oil pump, seems like it's okay. I'm just looking for more of this. Ooh. But it doesn't feel gritty. It feels sticky and looks black, like gunk at the bottom. I'm going to clean all that stuff out, obviously. But it doesn't feel gritty. I don't know where that came from, why that bearing feels like that. It doesn't look particularly nasty inside, and it's intact. It hasn't lost any of its needles, and it hasn't lost any of the little pieces that hold the cage that holds it in. So that's good news, because I definitely did not want to go hunting around inside the motor for pieces. So, but I'm a little concerned, given the... I'm going to put that right up to the microphone on the camera. I think this is the microphone right here. Hopefully the camera's picking up that noise. And then I'll measure things with my micrometers and see what I can find for measurements. We'll look up in the manual and see what it talks about for clearances. I've got new gaskets for the lifter blocks. I've got new gasket for everything. I've got the whole gasket kit for this thing. And I've got this nifty tool. I'll show you the tool to reinstall. So the plate, presumably, I think it probably bolts on something like that. Haven't had this out of the package yet. Probably bolts on something like that. And then we've got this guy to press the new bearing in with the shaft here that's going to go through the plate and push everything together. So this was an expensive tool. This, I think, is, yeah, it's a Jim's tool. So that's a high quality tool. And just as an aside here, getting a little bit more set up in the motorcycle shop. Got myself a toolbox. Obviously, not an expensive one. It was Harbor Freight. So I've got some of my stuff now a little bit more organized. And I've got, if I do need to do bushings in the cam cover itself, I bought the reaming tool to size the bushing for the pinion. And I've got the set of reamers for doing the cam bushing as well, which is this guy here, which I think is an inch. Gotta look that up. But I got a whole set of reamers to use for that process as well, if indeed I need to change this. But I'm going to first do some measurements to see if I do, because I'd rather not have to go through all that, because I will have to build a jig for the press for this because of the odd shape here. If I need to pull this and press in a new bushing for the pinion, I will need to support this part of the cover when it goes into the press so I don't crack anything. Probably don't need to worry about doing that with the cam bearing, because it lines up centered with this, so I can just get this supported in the press and press that in. But we'll see. I'm going to go and look at the manual and see what the clearances are supposed to be, and then I will measure everything very carefully, and hopefully this thing will go back together without any problem and make much less noise, because that was a lot of noise coming from this stuff, and I'm Gonna have to line up all this stuff again and time the gears and everything. There is a couple of lines on the pinion shaft gear here. But you can see these two lines. There's one here and there's one here. Then on the camshaft, there should be a mark. Two marks, actually. There's a mark here and there's a mark here, because one of them is going to line up with one of these lines here. And I think the other one's going to line up with our breather, which has a mark in it as well. But I'm going to go back and look at the manual and probably watch a bunch of videos as well and make sure I know exactly what I'm doing before I put this thing back together, because I have said before, this is the first Shovelhead I have worked on. I've worked on a couple of Evos now, and I've worked on a lot of classic cars and trucks, but never before have I had a Shovelhead apart, especially not to this extent. I'm going to go and make sure I've got enough information before I tear back into this and start reassembling. So anyway, that's what we got. Maybe this will be one video and I'll make another video for the reassembly, or maybe I will make them in one video and just stitch everything back together. But that's the disassembly process that actually went as pretty much as smoothly as I could hope for, except for those lifter blocks being a little bit stuck. But actually, you know, hitting it with the dead blow, it popped them out without too much trouble, I guess. So I guess I can't really complain. I kind of expected it to be a little easier than that, but maybe that's typical. So I got some gasket remaining here, so I'll scrape all that stuff off. I'll clean up all the gunk out of there and then reassemble this thing. So maybe this is one video. Maybe we'll combine it with the reassembly. But for now, I'm going back in the house and watch some YouTube videos and read the manual.